Will be Chris Prue, president of Omaha Education Association. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you.
Welcome to Heartland Focus. Good to have you back, man.
Glad to be back.
Well, I think, you know, in terms of education across the country, the unions and it's just, education is such a focal point. Even the President of the United States, this whole concept of winning our future, what is it going to take in terms of innovation, jobs, and I think the key to all of what we want to accomplish is how well we do in winning education. And you've been, just like me, you know, watching the news and the unions, and we're challenged in this state as well with our state aid formula to support our local school districts. Omaha Public Schools particularly will be very challenged depending on what happens. So let's kind of talk to that a little bit. I know we're going to spend the whole show talking about education because I truly feel this is so key to moving us forward, especially winning our future.
I would agree. Like you said, one of the biggest challenges I think we're going to be facing this year is coming out of Lincoln and how much money they're going to choose to give in the form of state aid to schools.
Okay.
And right now, the current proposal is a lot lower than what is being expressed as what's needed for our schools. And one of the unfortunate things that they're doing down there is they're looking at what they used for funding 2 years ago as their basis for what they're going to do in this year. And obviously, you know, the cost of goods have gone up and everything else has increased. So that alone is, I mean, in my opinion, would be deemed insufficient for what we need in order to move forward. Over the last 2 years, with the stimulus money that came in from the federal government, the state chose not to give more to schools out of the state budget and just use the ERA money. So
called delayed pain or problems. Yeah.
And so they gave more money to schools, but it was with that temporary funding source.
Okay.
And in fact, the governor himself wrote a letter to all the superintendents and highly encouraged them to use this money to be that funding source for increased salaries and those sorts of things. So it's a little bit odd that he would use a temporary funding source to fund permanent liabilities on behalf of districts in the form of salaries and wages. So the cliff that we're now facing, as they refer to it, in many ways is self-inflicted by the governor himself and by the legislature by misusing or not really appropriating the ERA money in a wise fashion.
Yeah. Well, and so we're talking about millions of dollars in terms of impacting the lives of students, families, and teachers as a result to miss, you know, we're not appropriately allocating those dollars or having that delay, knowing that, you know, using those those federal dollars to pay for something that is not a temporary fix. You need a permanent solution. Right. And so how big is this thing? What are we looking at?
Well, the district right now, they're claiming that they're going to be looking at anywhere from $22 to $23 million that they're going to have to cut out of their budget as they move forward into next year. And there's only so much cutting you can do to reach $22 to $23 million without impacting people.
Yeah.
You know, you can't cut that much money by simply cutting back on papers and pencils. You know, you're going to have to reduce the number of people who are working in order to reach that full amount. So although they haven't put out exact projections yet, I do think that's going to be coming relatively soon as far as what their plan is and how they're going to make those types of cuts. But I think the community really needs to be aware of just how impactful this is going to be in the classroom.
Yeah, you're talking about, you know, 22 million in terms of affecting, you know, classroom size, the ability to have multiple aides in a classroom in terms of teacher aides, and providing the kind of things that's going to increase learning. And one of the things that OPS, you know, with this student accountability and student achievement and trying to close the achievement gap, already committed to having a smaller smaller class sizes And now with a challenge of 22 million or trying to close that that gap of funding, there's no way, because how do you win your future in terms of education if you continue to take away the resources and the tools that you need to actually to win? And but another thing in terms of with the state, we have a governor, and I most definitely will welcome him to come on the show to give his viewpoints as well. But he's really, his platform has been, political platform has been education. That he wants to be known as a governor for education. Would you say, in your estimation, what you've seen in terms of proof is in the pudding, they say sometimes, is that true? I mean, what are we seeing?
I think he's tried to put the best foot forward. I think his focus on education statewide, I think it's there. I think he intentionally sidesteps the needs within OPS. He has made it very clear that there's a lot of issues personally with him and the staff within the central office up at OPS. And
so I don't understand that, that personal thing.
Well,
when we're talking about the lives of kids,
that
man. I mean, it's just, you got to put that stuff to the side, but I'm sorry for interrupting.
Well, the political realities are, the interpersonal squabbles will always manifest themselves in some way, shape, or form. It's unfortunate that this political battle is going to be essentially waged on the battlefield, which is our classrooms, and the victims will be our kids. It's not an appropriate battle to be waged. If there are personal differences, you set those aside and you be a leader. And that's what he really is supposed to be in this state, is a leader in many arenas, not just education. But if he wants to profess that he's going to lead in the field of education, he can't just do so with strong rhetoric. He can't just do so in the suburban areas or in the rural areas. He needs to come and really be seen in urban Omaha, where we have challenges that they don't have elsewhere in the state. We have all of the migrant communities that are here, the homelessness problem that we deal with, the violence problem that we deal with. All of that is impacting our classrooms, and you don't see that level of need and those types of problems to the same extent when you're talking about Hastings or Kearney or Columbus. They have challenges, and you don't want to downplay that. But what we deal with here isn't seen across the state.
And it appears, or it seems to me, that that's kind of like common sense, 101, not really trying to degrade or, belittle anyone. But, Omaha is and you said it in terms of the challenges, the multitude of challenges that a urban center district would have versus a rural school district. So more resources will be needed and all those kind of things. So you truly feel that just he hasn't lived up to his charge that education is our key, and I'm going to do what I need to do to make sure education wins.
I think he has a long ways yet to go if he's actually going to claim it. He's the education governor, and this is the first and foremost issue dear to his heart. Then he needs to complete that mission and come to Omaha and deal with our issues in a productive manner instead of just skipping it over.
Well, I think, Chris, we're stirring up a little bit. I'll have to invite the governor to come on the show, but we're stirring up a little bit, and that's a good thing because we're talking about trying to win our future in terms of education.
Absolutely.
So when we come back, we will continue our conversation.